I might be a familiar face, and there's a lot of familiar faces here too. I used to work at Click close to 5 years. AI replaced my job. So no, I'm just joking. I wanted to kind of get off the road a lot. I have a 1-year-old child, and I spend a lot of my time at home now. I work completely remotely with VizLib. They're a technology partner of Click's. We'll go over a little bit of who they are in case you're not familiar. But really, I'm here today to talk through some stories that I think are kind of fun. Last time I was here, Dalton was up speaking about the Insight Bot, and Claudia said, show whatever you want. So I'm like, well, I never get to show my non-healthcare apps. So that's what I did last time, but I want to delve back into the healthcare side because I've been missing it a lot lately. I haven't been with my healthcare team, Brian and Dalton, for a little while now, in months. So I thought about it, wanted to grab those things back. So got a little of my background. My email's pretty easy. This was the first thing I requested when I joined VizLib was, I want my first name at the company. And he said, I'll see what we can do. And it messed up their entire domain naming system. Slack didn't work, all this stuff. But I got it. So I'm sticking with it. You can still do .warbington as well. That will work. But I won't check it as often. And I'll go over a little bit of VizLib, but I want to get into stories. That's the meat of it with some apps. Technology partner. I learned of VizLib a couple years ago. Started seeing them at connections, working with different clients. They would pick up this technology to add really the visual side to ClickSense that was missing. Maybe many of you have worked with ClickView in the past or other BI tools that shall not be named and wanted something more out of it. And so that's why they were going to VizLib. And I started doing that too. I started putting their extensions, visualizations in my apps, my demos, and going into health systems and them going, wait, what is that? We don't have that chart. What's that thing there? And so I started seeing a lot more of it and just became a fan really early on. When I joined the team not too long ago, in early August, they all knew me. It was weird. They were like stalking me, I think, for years. And I went back through Slack because you can search, and I searched from their name, which I maybe shouldn't have done, but they're like, this guy, Joe, he loves us. We got to get him. It was 2 years ago in Slack. And I'm like, wow, you guys have been watching me for a little while. Yeah, I just searched my name, and it was in Slack all over there. Yeah. They're like pictures of me presenting their stuff. Bizarre. But they're a great team. There's about 34 of us. We are a trusted extension developer. This is a designation from Click that the stuff that we build will work. It'll be enterprise ready. It will scale with you. And as you update ClickSense, we probably already updated because we're also in the beta and alpha programs. I didn't get to see what Vinay just showed, but I'm sure my team will get previews of it so we can figure out the APIs. Global customer base, we have over 400 clients, which I think is pretty good for a technology partner of Click's, seeing lots of those in the year. There's 34 of us. I'm the third employee in the US. They say we have an office in New York. It's like upstate New York, and it's in Jonathan's house. So until we get more employees, we're all working remotely, and I love it. So those are our main offices, but we support, sunrise to sunset around the globe. 8 spoken languages, and I like to add in the 9th. Everybody speaks data, so a lot of our team is speaking in Polish and Russian and different things, and I have no idea, but they show a chart, I know exactly what's going on. So this is the kind of just a quick look at VizLib. Again, very feature-rich. We add in these visualizations that you don't have. I think this is the thing that I miss the most, the customizability that I had in ClickView, where you could just, it's Photoshop for your data. And came into ClickSense and really got it because you could get there faster, but then you're months in and you're really wanting to push the limits of what it can do, and it just wasn't there. So being able to control every chart, every single setting, the font, the color, the way the look and feel, can you take an action on this piece of data? That's really key, and it should help you out in deploying your analytics to more people, because if it's sticky, if they want to use it more, well then all the work that you put in building it, it's going to make that much more worthwhile. And talked about it being supported and everything. But we want to make it super easy to use. So if you can use drop-down menus in Excel and customize a chart, you should be able to do that in ClickSense with every single feature. We're pretty well known, I think, for the VizLib library of extensions. It's 21, 25 or so and growing. All kinds of visualizations, even covering ones like the bar chart and the line chart. You think, who can create a new bar chart? But Vizlib has done that, and they allow you to do some things that you can't do in the native space. You could do things in ClickView by doing lots of layers and hiding and showing things like that, but we just try to put that in ClickSense. So it's the drop-down features, the business user can use it, and it gives them a better way to customize it. The Vizlib self-service is, if folks are familiar with Climber out of Sweden, the Climber extensions are now part of Vizlib. We acquired the company in April. We acquired the extensions, rather. Climber is still a large consulting partner in Sweden, but their entire technical team that was working on extensions now works at Vizlib. So things like the custom report, ad hoc report, different visualizations and KPIs they have are part of this area. More fine-tuned to giving somebody one visualization, allowing them to do it without hitting the edit button. So you don't have to give everybody professional licenses, I guess is what it is. We change the name of it every once in a while, but they don't need to be a pro in ClickSense. They can drag and drop things around in the chart, and that's what the self-service is for. The other two, very fine-tuned, finance, and the newest one's collaboration, which we are starting to, I think, work with Click on where this fits in with the Insight bot, where this fits in with Insight Advisors, so people can have commentary alongside their charts on the sheets. And you can have it send an email to somebody and remind them, go look at this. It can go into Teams, it can go into Slack. And so it's helping bring that insight that you found in some chart, share the bookmark, the selections, the picture of the image, and get them right back into that context so you can keep this thread on what's going on, why did this happen? Things that maybe you had to save a bookmark or export to PowerPoint or Excel to do. That's the library. This is kind of an eye chart, but just kind of the breadth and depth of Vizlib library. It's constantly growing. We're adding new visualizations and fine-tuning each one that's up there regularly. We're releasing things almost every day. I see our kind of developers doing things around the library. And we take a lot of feedback from customers and prospective customers as well of what else you would need to do. So who's seen this or heard this, saying before, in God we trust and all others must bring data? It's William Edwards Deming. He's a statistician, author. I guess he was. He's no longer with us. And he said this, and I think it's a really great thing. And I've seen it a lot. It's in the space. That's why I'm wearing my data shirt, the Star Trek. And I'm not really a big Star Trek fan, unfortunately. I'm more of a Star Wars guy, like a Han Solo, like fly by the seat of my pants. So all of this is not practiced, especially the stories. I was telling Jacob a little earlier, like, I'm just going to wing it. And so please interrupt me. But this is one thing, and bringing data is one thing. I think we all know this, but man, I think you need to please make it a good story if you're going to have data. Data alone is just ones and zeros. So tell me something. What can I do with it? I attributed that one to me, but there's probably other people that have said that. So this is the meat of it. I want to get into a couple of the stories. As I said, they're going to be healthcare related. Anybody recognize these two individuals? Freddie Mercury. David Bowie.
Oh, that's David Bowie.
I think he's been known to wear a green bow tie every once in a while, too. Might be inspiration for the guy in the back. Yeah, you know. And the song that they collaborated on, anybody know that one? It was ripped off by Vanilla Ice. Same beat. Under Pressure. So I want to talk about blood pressure. That's the one we're going to cover with that one. The Wall of Shame. This one is not so much a guess. It's actually the Wall of Shame. It's something that our government puts together for healthcare breaches of data. You may have heard of things like HIPAA, the Health Information Privacy Act, and PHI, Protected Health Information. Well, when there's a breach, this has to be reported to the government. It's actually a great website, and we'll delve into what data is there, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then this last room, I was stretching to find something here, but since I have a 1-year-old, we're starting to get lots of books. We actually have this one, so when he gets a little ready, he can clean up his room. Because I love Lego, but man, stepping on them sucks. Even the Duplos, the big ones right now, we really need him to clean his room. So this is going to be about room cleaning It's a very, very exciting topic, right, in the healthcare system, cleaning bedrooms or cleaning rooms for your hospital. It's maybe not as fun, but it's super interesting and it's very important, and so we want to talk about what those things are. So let's hop over to Sense. We'll start with, make this full screen here. Looks good? Coming across. So, can anybody tell me, like, what's a decent blood pressure? You go to the doctor and you get it. You're hoping you're under a certain 120 over 80. Your systolic over your diastolic. That's what you're trying to hit. Everybody gets this taken, most likely, for every visit that you have to the doctor. They're tracking this vital sign data and putting it into the EHR, the electronic health record, and it gets stored for every patient, probably multiple times. And so there's a lot of just blood pressure data floating around in the system. How can you make use of that information? Well, especially across a population of patients, which is what we've done here. So the average age of all these patients is 13,000, 48. Might be kind of interesting, I guess. The average BP, average diastolic. That's across the population. Doesn't really matter at all. That just means people are kind of where they need to be for the population of patients we're looking at. Now, if I wanted to delve into this and what a health system did in Wisconsin was UW Health, one of the clients I work with. I almost have a parking spot there. I'd been there so much. They're there in Madison. And they gave Click to their doctors to use and gave them the ability to build their own applications and charts and things. And I thought that was really great that they were taking this out of IT. There were still dashboards that were built, but they allowed people to be data explorers and try some things. So this particular doctor gave me this use case. This is all de-identified faked data, but to tell the story, you know, we could look at all the patients, say, over the age of 65. Now, it didn't really actually change for that population either. So if I had other things like the diseases they might have, like hypertension, which is high blood pressure, those numbers should go higher. They have diabetes or congestive heart failure. BP is a really important vital sign to have and to track. But this isn't about the individual patient that they were interested in. They wanted to know over populations of patients. So this was something where she came to me and she said, Joe, you have to look at this. What I've done is I've created a histogram of every blood pressure we've ever taken for our patients, the systolic and the diastolic, and what jumps out to you? Anything? What's this? This is like right there at what is that? Even if we hover over it. 119 to 120. It is very convenient. Yeah, that a lot of people's blood pressures happen to be here or maybe on that side of it. So what's happening here? Any ideas? Is this really the population in Wisconsin? We eat a lot of cheese and we eat brats, and I'm sure that lots of copious beverages consumed. Our blood pressures should be over here somewhere, mostly. What she determined was happening was pretty interesting, and it only showed up in the histogram, and that's the nurses are very crafty individuals. They're taking that blood pressure or the PA. As soon as they put in the systolic blood pressure, if it's 120 or above, it says, oh, they might be prehypertensive, and it asks them a bunch of other questions to fill in. So what do the nurses do? It's on the lower side of that. They're taking it from the blood pressure cuff and then typing it in. So if I put 119 in, I don't have to do that documentation. Now, if it's above a certain range, that's why it started to grow here again. Maybe I should put that in because there's a legit thing here. But anybody in this range, let's just skip that documentation. I have a lot more patients to see and help out, and I don't want to do all that work at home. So she found in the data that there was a broken process in the health system, that they were making them do this documentation that either wasn't going to be useful, so they changed the threshold, perhaps. I think what they ultimately ended up doing was simplifying the questions that are asked for blood pressure and made it so I don't care what blood pressure you have, you're going to have to answer those questions because it's important to their health.
What hospital is it again?
UW Health. But they use a very common EHR system that by default sets something right here. Epic. Which is like 300, 400 health systems across the US. There are a few folks in the room that have that system. You may want to plot this out and check out what might be happening. That's the story that jumps out to me just from that one chart. So, you know, if you're with your doctor and you look at the cuff and you see 121, see what they typed into the computer, because it might be a little different. The next one, the HHS Wall of Shame. This is the website. It's from the Office of Civil Rights that helps with transparency of data. Looks like a great site, right? Lots of data, tabular format. Here are some breaches of information. They neatly sort it by the last registration date or the last breach date, which happened to be just 2 days ago, was the last major breach. You have to reach 500 patients' data that was lost in some form or fashion and report it to the government. There are all kinds of major breaches in here. And if you're thinking like I am, like where's the search box? How do I figure out what's important to me? They give you, oh, we're the government. You can do whatever you want. Export it to Excel. CSV, everybody on the street knows how to look at this data and figure out what's going on, right? Nope. And I think actually last time I was here, Dalton and I talked about this because we saw something come up in Georgia. It actually hit this website before it hit the news, and it was a health system that did this. So I took and very quickly created this application on the breach information. Right off the screen, I grabbed everything back to as far as they would give me the CSVs, which was 2012, and you see some interesting blips in the number of individuals that had their health information breached. More than likely, everybody in this room has had your health information breached in some form or fashion. You might not know it. Maybe your health system reached out and said, hey, we're going to do a free identity kind of credit check for you. Those are the type of things you get. This happens all the time. That big spike there was Anthem, as you can see on that chart too, based in Indiana. They leaked over 80 million records. I think it even went up, right? So that's, you know, every patient in that particular health plan, they lost their information at some point was leaked. That's very private information when you think about it. So this is, there's a fear factor introduced, potentially. What I really liked about taking that information from the tabular format was I can talk to my grandma about this because she's not going to know what this means right now until I teach her. But I can read this to her and I can say, oh, Grandma, did you know that like since blah, 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 that there have been this many breaches of PHI, and the biggest one was this insurance company that you currently have your insurance through? And she's going to go, oh, who do I need to call about that? That's the type of information. So definitely use the text that's built into Click and pull those measures out and put it into free text, because there will be people in your organization that don't give a rat's behind about these charts, but they're going to read this. There's a narrative here. It's not an extension. It's just built right in. There's many more extensions that can do much deeper narratives, like a narrative science or YOSEP. Is that how you say it? Easy Up is the other one I've seen a lot of. But do the basic stuff. Make this easy for people to pick up. So let's look at 2019. And I took and I used some annotations here, which is that we recreated the line chart. But I wanted to indicate, ooh, this is the Optum 360 leak that happened. When I posted this on LinkedIn, and I started getting some private messages, like direct messages, from different organizations, but there were a few that I think had Optum in their employee name, and they were like, what are you posting about? That wasn't us. That actually, you were the covered entity, Optum 360 was. They sell their software to health systems and payers. Their payer, or I'm not sure exactly who, they said who it was, leaked the information, but they're ultimately the responsible party. So they're the one that has to give you the credit check. It's Optum 360. LabCorp, they do a lot of the 23andMe testing, DNA stuff, lab data, all kinds of things. Your health system probably works with them or something similar. They leaked 10 million records just in July, and some others in here. So I really like the annotations part of this because I can call out those big outliers. So let's take and look at, if I dance over here, we'll turn the lights back on. Let's pick Georgia out of this list. This is if you notice the title of the chart down here, how many individuals per the state of the headquarters of the covered entity were affected. So this doesn't necessarily mean health systems in Georgia. It just means their headquarters are based here. But there have been that many. So the top one, Georgia Department of Community health. When did that happen? Almost 1 million patients' files were leaked in March of 2015, thanks to the associative, green, white, and gray up there. I can see that really quickly. Oh, let's just look at 2019 for Georgia. Navicent, iSouth, CTC. I thought one on here was Peachtree at one point. Wasn't that the one you were telling me about? Yeah? It's scary. And this is stuff that just happened. Luckily, there was a big one in April. That was the Navicent one. Kind of tapered off, luckily. But this stuff hits the website. As soon as it's reported, it's there. And if you watch it, and I refresh this app regularly, you can catch it before it hits the news. Or maybe you're like you're a nice person, you reach out and tell them, hey, there's a news story here. XYZ, based in Georgia, leaked our health information. So you can help people out. So 10 covered entities have leaked 347,000 patients, potentially, data. These are reported to the government. As long as it's 500 individuals have been affected, they have to report it. The covered entity has to report this. The health system, the payer, they know what it is. Yep. And so what are the typical breaches? In Georgia this year, it has been typically through email. That's not always the one I see from the top. It's a lot of like network hacking, and hacking just in general is kind of one of the types. But this is probably somebody attached a big CSV file, an Excel file, sent it maybe to a personal address, and that file got leaked. Somebody reported it. They tracked it down and figured out who it was. So this stuff, this is when it was reported in April. This could have happened way back when. This could have happened years ago, but somebody found out about it. So this information just, it speaks so much more when you can see it jump off the screen than in that tabular format, right? And I'm working with Vizlib and Click to figure out how to host this and keep it updated and refreshed so you all can go out, maybe bookmark it and check it on it every once in a while. And then the last one here I wanted to walk through. I have a flight. It's at 9. I think I'm fine. No. 10. My flight boards at 9. I have to leave. I'm not making it. I have to leave in like 10 minutes. Yeah, I got to get back home to my baby. Yeah. This one will be quick, but I wanted to paint a picture of what we can do with it. And with this is the room cleaning one, environmental services or EVS. And Brian worked with me on this one. We have de-identified it to protect the innocent, although they weren't really innocent, because this is housekeepers' data. And we took and really changed, I think, this director's view of what was going on. He was getting an Excel file every month, previous month's data on how fast rooms were being cleaned in the hospital. And as the director, his job is to make sure we get rooms cleaned and turned around in 75 minutes. Not just that they're clean, but they're at certain levels. They're sterile. They're ready for that next patient. There are all kinds of factors that come into play. How many patients, the volume, the staffing, what the patient had. If they have a certain condition, like MRSA or something related to your skin, they need to clean the room even more for you. You don't want to go into a room right after with just a regular cleaning. And so all that information gets massaged. It takes them weeks, they said. This one person, poor soul, has to update this Excel file, give it to the director, and he has to decide, what can we do? What are our opportunities? How can you make decisions on stuff that's over a month old with things that are flying by all the time? So we hooked it up and got it updated, I think, on a daily basis for them. Now we can see what happened yesterday at least. And there was, I think, working towards getting it to be almost real time, feeding that information in so we can see more things. But this kind of jumped off. We did first the line chart, average turnaround time. As a director, I have to keep that under 75 minutes. If I gave them a KPI, he goes to the board of directors, the CMIO, the CFO. Hey, we're getting this turned around. You can bill more patients. You can care for more patients. 72, good, right? No. They're only hitting that 58% of the time. There's a lot of room for improvement. It's going to make you all as patients that have to go to this health system maybe happier. You don't have to wait in the hallway waiting for your bed. but there's better ways to look at this information. So again, little line chart. Let's make it really simple that anytime it crosses that SLA line, show me that that was a miss for our organization, that there was something going on. So you can put icons now in things like this and really make it very obvious what's going on. But this is the up and down. There's natural flow to this stuff. Different days, different things are going on. What could be a better way to see? Because maybe Wednesdays, you know, at 5 p.m., they're just bad. Can you see that from here? Probably not. Does anybody know like a good visualization for that? Scatter plot, heat map. I think what jumped up, and this is what the director really loved, was something like a heat map. And we didn't only give the turnaround time. That's one thing. The darker the blue here, the longer it took to turn around that room. But also staffing, because that's an important part. We don't have enough housekeepers. How are they going to clean all the rooms? And then the number of requests. We have more patients coming in between the hours of 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. That makes sense. Our staff, does that reflect it? Man, this was, we didn't even pick any selections, and right there he goes, we have to change the way we staff. Look, everybody's leaving at this time, and then our delays are coming up. We should stagger our staffing for our housekeepers, or we should make them have a different shift that overlaps in some form or fashion. That jumped off the chart right here. Having these two things side by side, this is the hour of the day, and this is the day of the week. So there's actually, there's a lot of variability. There wasn't anything in this overall data. And by the way, we took this for years, I think a few years of their data. He was only getting 1 month at a time. So how are you going to find patterns of things that were going on without that? So that's even better. Now, something that might jump out, and you've seen that, kind of like that other chart, was something was way off the screen there. And he goes, what happened there? And we go, let's see, what was that? It was December 8th. You know what? There's a better way to do this because you're going to have to tell somebody. Let's create a story. And I loved using that portion of it, of ClickSense, and still use that. Give a little narrative. We have to hit 75 minutes. This is what it's been for the last few months. Everybody in the room, probably much like all of you, all are going to go, what's that? Well, what is that? It is December 8th. If I hover over it, it'll show it, I think. That is, it's a Saturday. I looked this up. December 8th, 2018. It's a Saturday. It's not a major holiday that I know of. It might be. And so let's drill in. Let's look at all the housekeepers. I painted the background with our scatter plot to show that they were outside of that SLA of 75 minutes. That was the average turnaround time for everybody that day. All the housekeepers. And this grouping right here of housekeepers really pull that average up. That's why we hit that spike. We only hit it 40% of the time that day. And actually, if you drill into a certain few hours, it was even higher. It was taking over 2 hours, 3 hours to turn around a room. Because, I don't know, December 8th.
Did you gather this with sensor data or wearables?
This data is all captured through the EHR. As soon as that housekeeper goes into a room, they touch like a button on the outside and say, I'm ready to start cleaning. It's getting stuff yet. It's captured and then manually extracted and put into a Excel file was their process last month. So here we have all the information that was sitting in that data, all the housekeepers' names, again, protecting the innocent, just kind of scraped off names. But this grouping of people were really responsible for that average turnaround. And I like the scatter plot because it's not just their average turnaround time was bad, because you could have one housekeeper just have a bad day and they go through the roof. So it's by the number of requests. There's more impact up here in this pocket than Zoe or whoever happens to be right here. So we know who we need to talk to about what's happening. Again, any ideas? Saturday, kind of near the end of the year. Party. And there is. You ever been to the like nice hospitals that have big screen TVs in the patient rooms? They were, yeah, this is what happened. They were, and I put YouTube into ClickSense because I always think that's fun. They were watching a game, and you can actually go to it, a particular point in the game, where it was very close. And let's look at the score here. Navy's coming back, maybe. They're at 10. Now they're going for an onside kick. Man, the delays at this point in time on December 8th were through the roof. Not just for those people. Everybody was like, "What are they going to do it? Are they going to grab it? Are they going to grab it?" Game over. And so, Army ends up winning that game. But that was the reason for the delay. It was a sports game, this event that was happening. And now the director, he said, "Can I have that list again of those people?" Because he now can go, "Hey, Cynthia, Daryl, Olivia, and Evet, we know Army-Navy games next year at this date. Why don't you guys take the day off? We'll get it from here." And because that information exists out there, major sporting events, different things that are going on in the city, you pair that alongside staffing information and maybe different processes, you have a whole new view of the world of what could possibly happen when those things could be factors. In that case, maybe they needed a good talking to. Maybe they just said, "Oh, you know what? I definitely need to take the day off because I didn't like standing around the patient room watching the game." So yeah, that sounds good. And then other, folks that don't care about the particular event can help keep that particular statistic, the SLA, down to a level that's going to be safe for patients and help people, get in and get out. So, man, that was fun. We did that in an hour and a half or 2 hours. We built all this stuff with the customer in front of them as proof of concept, and you should have seen their eyes of like, you just changed everything that I do at this organization with this. Yeah. He was building something. He was Googling, and he's like, "This one's interesting because," and again, I protected the identity of the organization. I changed it to a very public game. We were at a particular university health system, and their university team was playing. It was not Wisconsin. That was only the one thing they did bad was blood pressure. It was another organization that we traveled to. And I love that story because that data, they've been hanging on to it for years. It's how they did their work. Now we give them a different way to look at it. They're changing the way they handle these processes and engage with their housekeepers in this case, which if you don't have your patients in bed, you're not caring for them. So it's a very critical process to optimize, and it's one of my favorite little stories that I have. So that's kind of what I have for stories. Again, thank you all for having me out here. I love coming to visit, and happy to come back. Again, there were some things I showed VizLib. I have to put this stuff in there, but I think it's fun because you can try it for free. And you can download the different extensions and try all this stuff up. I think for up to 5 users, and then you'll start getting nice little emails that we'd like you to purchase more licenses and things. But it's actually very inexpensive. It's like a couple of dollars a person per month. It's like less than a cup of coffee to get this into your organization. So I'm pretty excited. There's lots of good stuff. And I'm not selling the software. I'm just building the fun stuff. So as you all have examples of things, you want to try something out, you can reach out to me in any form or fashion you want, LinkedIn, Twitter, email, and I want to help you build it and kind of try it out. That's the fun part of my job, is just building this stuff. So still in the Click family. I still have my green shoes and things like that. And I got my I got my pink socks that Dalton has as well, and a few others. So you'll see me around other events, and happy to just stay connected and share stories. So thanks for having me out. Yeah, take care.